Oh, cool. That looks great. Let's go ahead and do that. Hey everyone, DJ here. This is the Jumbo Commander YouTube channel, and look at how gorgeous this Rowan is. My gosh, it's also one of the most popularly built commanders right now from the set. So I want to take a stab at it. I think it's really cool because Rowan gives us a lot of big mana. I mean, let's just take a look at the card first. Rowan, Scion of War, is 1 black-red for a 4/2 legendary human wizard. Rowan has Menace and tap. Spells you cast this turn that are black and or red cost X less to cast, where X is the amount of life you lost this turn, activate only as a sorcery. So the strategy of this is pretty straightforward. You pay a ton of life. Hopefully as you're paying life, you get a ton of advantage as well. Whether you're getting card draw or mana or selection or whatever, you just pay a bunch of life, and then suddenly all of your spells are way, way cheaper. And particularly if we lose a lot of life, we can dump all of that mana discount into X spells to be able to do huge fireballs or drain your opponents out. Let's talk about some of the best ways to lose life, and then we'll talk about some of the best ways to kill your opponents. There's tons of incidental damage in Commander. I mean, let's fetch and then shock, we lose 3 life. Tap Rowan, and suddenly all of our spells are cheaper. That's actually pretty good, but there are ways that we can lose a ton more life. I really like it when I get something out of it. If we're trying to get big mana, then paying life to get mana is a logical next step. That's why I like Treasonous Ogre. Treasonous Ogre is 3 and a red for a 2/3 Ogre Shaman with Dethrone. The important ability though is pay 3 life to add a red. This is actually a phenomenal commander card in general. If you have a red deck and you want to go deep on explosive turns, like Treasonous Ogre is fantastic. But in this deck, it's even better. You know, that 3 life paid over and over and over again can really add up, giving a powerful Rowan activation, but then it also gives us the red that we might need to sort of cast that big red spell. Treasonous Ogre will give you some great mana advantage, but Necropotence will give you the card draw that you might need. Necropotence is black, black, black for an enchantment. You skip your draw step, but that's okay because you can pay 1 life and exile a card, and at the beginning of your next end step, you get all of those cards into your hand. Now, you can't really use those cards right away because Rowan's activation is as a sorcery. But what you can do is dig really deep with Necropotence, craft your hand so that you have all the protection, all the kill enablers that you need, and then next turn, drain your life out, activate Rowan, do the big thing, and win the game. But Necropotence isn't the only way that you can draw cards. I really like Wheel of Misfortune. So this is a Wheel of Fortune with a complicated twist. Everyone bids life, and whoever bids the highest life, well, they lose that much life and they get to draw a fresh 7. The player that bid the lowest life gets nothing. So in this situation, we just get to pick however much life we want, drain it all away, and then have a fresh 7. Of course, we kind of have to hope that the next 7 has exactly what we need to go off with Rowan. It's kind of a risky play, which is why I really like Wheel of Misfortune. You know, bid 39, you'll for sure get a fresh 7, tap Rowan, and then hope, just hope that you have that spell to kill the table. If you want a little bit more control over how you draw and how much you draw, Ad Nauseam is only 5 mana, and you could just keep paying life for the mana cost of cards and then put them into your hand until you get exactly what you need at exactly the lowest amount of life. I also really like Fire Covenant. It's 1 black-red for an instant. As an additional cost to cast the spell, pay X life. Fire Covenant deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures. Again, being able to pay X life is really good, and it'll let you target all of that damage across the board, kind of being a one-sided board wipe. And this isn't even the only one. There's a ton of ways to pay life, from Bolas's Citadel to Plunge into Darkness. You can stack this deck full of effects. I'm really gravitating to the ones that give you advantage, but if you want to race towards 0 life, race toward the Rowan combo, well, there are some ways that you can just fritter away your life for no advantage whatsoever. How about something like Wall of Blood? This is a 3 mana wall, and you can pay a life to give it +1/+1 until end of turn. That's just a way to dump all of your life into something. How about Blood Celebrant, a single mana for a 1/1 cleric that lets you essentially pay a life and a black mana to filter, but if you filter it into more black mana, this is just a way to throw all of your life away. I'd also pay attention to Phyrexian mana. Allowing you to pay mana for life is the kind of thing that we really want. So a card like Dismember, allowing you to pay 4 life, could be like a little bit of a life boost for like a small Rowan activation, or something like Hex Parasite or Molten Dragon or Crick, Son of Yawgmoth. That's going to be really good in this deck. Now let's talk about the big payoffs. If I'm paying so much life to cast the biggest spell possible, what are they going to be? Well, I think that the best ones are the spells that can kill the entire table, and ones that might be able to recover some life back. That's why I think that Exsanguinate is going to be the best. It hits everyone, it gains you a ton of life back. Also, Crackle with Power or Jaya's Immolating Inferno, allowing you to hit multiple targets. I also like Torment of Hailfire, that hits all of your opponents, and very few people will be able to have the pure amount of stuff to be able to get through that big of a Torment of Hailfire. But of course, I'm fine with cards like Shivan Devastator, just swinging in and killing one person, or even Storm King's Thunder. I think that that's a really fun card too. Now, this deck might seem very linear, have some cards that have you pay life, and have big spells that kill your opponents. And that's true. But if your deck was truly this linear, it wouldn't be very good. The reason why is because Rowan activates as a sorcery. So as soon as you pay all of this life, someone can just kill Rowan. And you have no recourse. You can't be like, oh, I already paid the life, so I'm going to tap it. No, like Rowan's dead and you've paid 39 life. So to make this deck actually good and functional, we need a few other things. We need protection, we need speed, and we need consistency. The type of cards that we're looking for protection are counters and resiliency for Rowan. So I'm talking about Red Elemental Blast, Pyroblast, Tybalt's Trickery, all of the great sort of red tricky counter spells. I also really like Bolt Bend and Deflecting Swat. Those are going to be really good. We could also scam Rowan back onto the battlefield with something like Malakir Rebirth, which is some level of protection, but more protection about sorcery speed, so you can still use it on your turn. Now, you can counter or redirect the spell aimed at Rowan. You can sort of bring it back with black sort of reanimation effects or the Malakir Rebirth style scam cards, or you could just protect it. A card like, Swiftfoot Boots and Lightning Greaves will go a long way. In fact, the haste that's granted on both of those cards will give it the speed you need. You basically would love to be able to use Rowan immediately. People are going to see and be able to disrupt if Rowan is sitting on the battlefield for an entire turn before you actually go off. So haste could be really strong for Rowan. Not to mention the speed at which you can deploy it. Fast mana is going to be really good. If you can get all of your pieces lined up with some fast mana, then maybe your Rowan activation can come a little bit faster than your opponents expect. And then finally, with any combo piece that needs protection, consistency or tutors is going to be really important. Are you missing that big X spell? Tutor it up. Are you missing a way to protect Rowan? Tutor it up. And so that's going to help make this deck really function. But again, I've described a very linear deck, so I want to talk about a couple packages that are going to make this deck a little bit better and a little bit spicier. So here are a couple packages that I think you're going to really like in this deck. The first one is a lands package. So in black decks, we're pretty used to running Cabal Coffers and Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth, and we might even be considering running sort of like an expedition map to find that. But in this deck, we care so much about, number one, having haste on our commander to get our combo off early. We can run Hall of the Bandit Lord, and we can also run Beseiju, who shelters all, because we need to have these big sorcery spells land. Not to mention the fact that this big life trade-off for using these lands is actually an advantage when it comes to Rowan. All right, the next package is way jankier. It's a life swapping package. Magus of the Mirror is a creature that's not easy to play, but you can tap sacrifice it, and then you can switch life totals with an opponent. That's pretty cool. Magus of the Mirror can also be supported with Mirror Universe, very expensive reserve list card, which is why it has a Magus right there. And there's also a couple other ones. We've got like Soul Conduit and Repay in Kind. Both of these are very expensive life switching spells. So I don't know how well these are going to fit with Rowan because these two are not red spells. And so their big mana cost can't even be reduced. And all of them are just a little bit janky. But as long as you're including just ways to decimate your life total, you might as well have some ways to change that life total with your opponent. That's if you're going like the super fun route. And the final package is an Entomb package. Ooh. Entomb is normally used in Reanimator. It just lets you take a card from your library and stick it straight into your graveyard. But in this case, we have a few cards that will synergize well with just being put directly in there. The first one is Anger. We're going to have a mountain, which means that Rowan is going to have haste. That's fantastic because the speed of our combo or speed of our win with Rowan has to do with how fast you can tap her in order to add all of that big mana discount. And then finally, we need a big X spell. And so cut to Ribbons, the Ribbon side actually says each opponent loses X life. So we can just directly entomb this into our graveyard and cast Ribbons from there. So we have two key pieces that we need, like the haste to make it faster and the X spell to kill people, both of which can be used a little bit by this Entomb-based tutor. I think Rowan's Scion of War is so fun. The reason why is because it's so big and splashy. It's so commandery. It's so over the top. Yeah, you have to jump through a few hoops. You might have to go pretty low on your life and take a big risk in order to have big play. But big plays are what Commander's all about. Hey, I'm a Magic the Gathering ambassador. I don't know if you knew that. And this card was provided to me by Wizards of the Coast. Thanks, Wizards. They actually sponsor this video right now, sent over a bunch of product, and I was able to crack myself a Rowan Scion of War so I could build a really sweet deck. If you're interested in Wilds of Eldraine or other products, click on the link in the description. I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank everyone that supports the Jumbo Commander YouTube channel, and I hope you all have the opportunity to fireball your friends into oblivion. Have a good one. Bye-bye.